What is up, fellas? Austin here, All World Construction. So, I recently got my plumbing license and I've been taking on more risky plumbing jobs. This is one of them, natural gas setup here that we have in an indoor fireplace. Basically, there's a bypass leak in the valve and the customer wanted it replaced. It even got down to the situation where the residents were really concerned. They called the gas company. Gas company came out and verified that there was a leak, and so it scared everybody off, and so the resident initially called a plumber to take a look at it. He cut open the drywall. As you can see, that little piece of drywall to the left, it actually has an angle stop estetching on there. It's not supposed to be like that. There should have been an extension during this renovation, whoever put this drywall up, from where my finger is about 2 or 3 inches out so that you can put a piece of trim that's solid and basically screws onto it. We'll get into that in a little bit, but the other plumber didn't feel confident doing this. I don't know whether or not he's familiar with masonry or he didn't do drywall, but essentially when he opened it up, he wasn't expecting to see the valve embedded into brick and mortar. So essentially he started having doubts. The customer had heard of me through a friend, and the friend said that I could also do drywall. So he told the other plumber, hey, feel free to think about it. The plumber's like, yeah, let me think about it, send you a bid. So he leaves, and then the customer calls me and says, hey, this is what's happening. Do you think you could replace this? I go by and check it out. I'm like, yeah, I should be able to. So I'll send you a bid. And I don't know everything, but my confidence is to the level to where going into anything that is high liability, I'm going to do my research on. And one of the reasons I made this video is because I didn't see any other videos out there like this that were this technical, that had both trades, where they did it right and they put an extension on the outside to the drywall. Right here I'm actually checking for leaks. And before I forget, the bottle actually says you gotta wipe it off after you're done using it, which is kind of weird. I think maybe just soapy water would have been fine, but apparently that's for detecting gas leaks. It's more sensitive than soapy water. So getting back to the other situation, the other plumber just cut holes in the wall. He wasn't going to do any drywall work. And actually, I've always been doing drywall before I started getting deeper into plumbing. So I told the resident that, hey, I could do both. He's like, well, great. Can you do it tomorrow or the next day? I need to get these residents back, and they have kids and they don't want to go back when there's a gas leak. And technically, there was a secondary shut-off valve that they took off, or that was on there originally, that was stopping it, and probably because there was a bypass leak on here, because you don't typically see a secondary shut-off valve on the inside of the fireplace. And before I forget, the fireplace, where those the fake stone logs, were actually a little too low. So I think that there's a metal plate that those metal logs sit in, and I think the heat deflection was actually heating up the pipe too much over time, causing the rubber seal or the valve to basically have issues. But these old valves, they're almost like gate style, and sometimes there's sediment inside the natural gas. The gas has to travel so far to get here. It goes in the attic, does a little twisty. I don't think that's the problem. And there is no sediment trap on here. Now, technically, I guess you could install one if you had room, but I didn't see any sediment in there. I believe that the gate valve was just corroded, but I do believe that the heating and cooling definitely contribute to that. So to eliminate that problem, you'll see later, we're actually going to lift the fire up with some bricks and make sure that that's stable. So as you can see, I ended up putting an extension on there so that it's flush with the outside. And I originally had to knock some of that out because I wanted to make sure everything was super tight. And you see that I lifted it up and put it on bricks. As you can see, that deflection of the heat will now go over the secondary shutoff valve instead of the heat, directly hitting the valve. So it seemed like a good solution all around. I'm happy that it all worked out. And there you go, YouTube. Hopefully this helps somebody out. Do me a favor, hit that like button so I don't have to do this my whole life. Maybe you can help me get rich through YouTube.